Creepsville Chronicles presents the true story of the Pied Piper of Hamelin. When the brothers Grimm began collecting tales and traditions from Central Europe, many of them were loosely based on real events that had occurred centuries ago. One of their most famous tales, which we all know, is the Pied Piper of Hamelin, the one about the town full of rats that hires a piper to get rid of them. But what's really interesting is that this fantastical story has a real origin. The city of Hamelin in Germany recently commemorated the 725th anniversary of this macabre event recorded by the Grimms in 1812, meaning 520 years since it happened. It's no wonder it had become a legend full of supernatural and fantastic elements. In addition to a very colorful festival and plenty of cheap souvenirs, the city cannot forget what happened. There is a house, known as the Ratcatcher's House or Pied Piper's House, where you can read that, in the year 1284, on June 26, the day of Saints John and Paul, 130 children were seduced by a piper, dressed in many colors, and then disappeared in the Calvary near the Koppen. It was an event that left a mark. The last street where the children were seen passing is Bungelosenstrasse, the street without drums. It is still forbidden to play music or dance on that street today. Oral tradition preserved the story, and the Grimms immortalized it. In that version, the invasion of rats in the town occurs, which prompts the hiring of the piper, who initially seems like a hero. But when they refuse to pay him for ridding them of the plague, he decides to do the same with the town's children, whom he takes to an unknown place. In the more sanitized versions, the mayor apologizes and pays him what is owed, leading to the return of the children. This story is unusual in the fairy tale world because the monster or enemy is not actually defeated through any virtue, and the punishment itself is disproportionate to the offense. It's with the appearance of the new reward that this tale gains more significance and points to themes like greed, integrity, and commitment. All of this is determined by the real origin of the story, which can be traced back to a note in a manuscript from 1370, the Catena Aurea, which references another writing, the Lüneburg, about the events of 1284. Unfortunately, no original sources remain, although the 16th-century German demonologist and researcher Johann Weyer speaks of these events in 1577 in his book, De Prestigiis Demonum, The Deceptions of Demons. The market church in Hamelin had a decorated window dating back to the early 14th century, depicting a strange figure dressed in vivid colors leading a group of children dressed in white. The window was destroyed in 1660, but a watercolor from 1592 is still preserved, even showing geographical details that appear in the legend. One of the most plausible explanations for this legend is that the piper was an allegory for the Black Death, which ravaged medieval Europe mercilessly. In the 12th and 13th centuries, death was depicted as a skeleton dressed in bright colors. Perhaps the piper was death leading an army of rats, the great vector of the plague. If 130 children died one summer due to the Black Death, it surely was a difficult blow for a town like Hamelin. Another story that could be true is that the children were recruited to go to the Holy Land during the famous Children's Crusade of 1212. Although the complete veracity of the story is now questioned, there were preachers who traveled through 13th-century Germany claiming that only the purity of children could conquer the Holy Land. Hence the possibility that it had something to do with this disappearance. Subscribe to Creepsville Chronicles for more scary stories.